welcome to C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate. Today we will be discussing a whole new topic. Welcome to C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate. This segment is going to be about Kroger, Target, Walmart, Amazon, Whole Foods, Safeway, and Albertsons, to name a few. Of course, there will be a few others named possibly in the middle of the topic here, possibly. But let's start with Kroger. Kroger was at one point as known as the Great Western Tea Company. That was in the 1800s. But then the founder of Kroger renamed it to the Kroger Bakery and Grocer, essentially. Um, and the basic fact is that as Kroger grew, they grew by acquisitions, according to some sources. But that doesn't really keep the stability of any company. What what's been happening to Kroger and many other grocers is that they've been going on a steep competitive decline per se, in the sense that that after Amazon acquired Whole Foods, mm, that it was thought that Amazon would have the complete hold and domination of the retail grocer industry. That's not the case because there's many ways to rectify um, a particular situation for any number of companies, both retail, fast food, be that in the fast food industry, and many other industries, as well as say what Longs and Rite Aid and Walgreens are. But the one thing is that Kroger started growing gradually by acquiring some stores. One of them being Fred Meyer, and of course a number of them, a number of them, like a little over 900 of them being convenience stores. But both Fred Meyer and too high number of a convenience store could easily take Kroger down further than where Safeway is currently, while being mostly taken over by Albertsons, with the fact that Albertsons, again, like we've said before, is acting like a commercial realty company versus a grocer. Be that, of course, Safeway still has its own name and everything, but the one thing is that if Kroger doesn't deplete the convenience stores from 900 to say less than 100, say within the 80s or 70s, then there's a good chance that they will be pulling themselves down, because you could also say that um, the acquisition of Fred Meyer could be the anchor that's holding them back. So they may need to, if they haven't already, close or detach themselves from the Fred Meyer Be that, of course, sell it to someone else, possibly like someone like Amazon or someone else. Um, but the one thing is that Safeway may be on a decline, may have had a decline of some stores, but doesn't mean that they're still not the largest grocery store. Although Kroger might still be in the lead to that point, but it will not last long. Um, the one thing is also is that Walmart was at one point a threat or seemed to be a threat to some grocers, but they're not a threat anymore. The basic fact is that Walmart has to worry about Amazon and Whole Foods. Although Whole Foods in itself has been basically, shall we say, weak in the sense of giving itself to a online retailer. Be that, of course, one that being that Whole Foods essentially gave itself to a online retailer that was mostly, and I do mean totally mostly, dealt with on a online purpose and an online presence as it were. But then, of course, as they had the acquisition of Whole Foods, and they were able to eventually open warehouses, and of course that made them a bit of a more of a threat. But the brick and mortar aspect is being shall we say looked down upon by many analysts. But the one thing is that, like I've said before, things can be changed. Let's put it this way: Target, and Walmart were have been at each other's necks since Target first started in 1962. But of course, after the fact that Target started expanding, then Walmart came in, and as they gradually expanded, they were kind of almost at neck and neck. But the one thing was and is that the that Kmart had a big threat of Walmart, but also an equal threat due to Target. Then, of course, as things went on, Sears acquired Kmart to help them get out of the Section 11. Be that help Kmart get out of Section 11, which is commercialized bankruptcy. And of course, with the fact that Kroger is said to be in some way related and connected in a connection of sorts, according to sources, with Walgreens due to possibly the pharmaceutical aspect. That doesn't really help them either. But in the sense of Sears and Kmart, we already know where that's going. And yet the particular person that claimed to, again, as we've said before, that he's going to be going to put money towards helping the the decline of Sears and Kmart. He hasn't done that, but with Kroger, Safeway, and Whole Foods, Amazon, the basic fact is that Kroger needs to again release itself from Fred Meyer, decrease the amount of convenience stores, and with the self-driving aspect that Kroger essentially connected itself to was, shall we say, more than premature. Because self-driving thing, even Uber has has done a number of testing aspects to, and so has, of course, Google. And yet they've found themselves that it's not really in the right time zone in the era or decade to do it because the technology has not advanced to the point to where um, having where be having no issues. But the one thing is that Kroger needs to quit doing the acquisition thing for one, and disattach itself from Fred Meyer, and also disattach itself if it already hasn't already done from the Piggly Wiggly, and also with the fact of also Kroger would also have to possibly do the one thing. And what I have, and I have analyzed this for some time now, and I'd say that both Kroger, Safeway, and Whole Foods could do this. But of course, Amazon is planning to do its own grocer thing online. But as we've said with Amazon, is that is that they need to decrease the hold that they have on Whole Foods in order to do this in a general success level. And if Amazon has the same percentage of hold on Whole Foods, there's no way on this planet that will happen. And it is said that it is still basically thought that Amazon has the higher percentage of the domination of the grocer industry. No, because if if both Kroger and Safeway and several others go to the points to where they are able to pull away from the NYSE, just like um, just like the the well-known franchise as In and Out. In and Out, as we've said, it has no connection to the NYSE. That's a smart move. That in itself helps them in many ways and many levels. They don't have to answer to stockholders. They don't have to answer to anybody with anything connected to and the New York Stock Exchange, known as again the NYSE. That gives them free reign to operate the way they know to in order to better serve the general public. But the one thing is that Kroger may need to follow the same suit. Although at one point it was thought that in order to better compete with the current competitors, even in today's day and age, of course, this was thought in the 1990s, that they may have to resort back to the way they began, but still at the same time keep the larger stores. Although that concept was revamped by the fact that um, Home Depot was planning to downsize. That in itself is expensive because and it's very and not only the fact that it's costly and can it can spell death to a already huge chain because if you haven't done that in the beginning and you've expanded to larger stores from your from the very beginning on through and nowhere in between you didn't downsize to smaller stores before you went into larger stores, but yet you want to go into mid-size to smaller store concept after being successful in the larger store concept after your very beginnings. You're about to cause the company into the points of 10 feet under the apocalypse. retail. Be that, of course, instead of the success, the founder and the its CEOs and presidents of the company will see in their heads the tombstone of the company. So generally, what we at C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate suggest, and even Walgreens and Rite Aid could do this, is pull away from the NYSE for say 10 to 12 years. And if they feel that they've expanded wide enough, then they can reconnect gradually to the back to the NYSE. But things are not really stable right now to do that now, are they? Because the NYSE is full of people who want to have full control and say so. And who cares of what the consumer, how and what the consumer feels and what they think the companies both of any retail industry should and should not do. That's the concept of the NYSE. But the NYSE doesn't realize what really makes a company and what really made it to the where the companies were able to connect to the NYSE is the consumer. The consumer is the top dog, not the stockholders, not the shareholders, not anybody in the in NYSE circle. So generally, I'd say Kroger needs to again get rid of Fred Meyer, decrease the the amount of convenience stores to say 70 or 60, if not lower than that, and also disattach itself from Piggly Wiggly, and also pull away from the NYSE, put the self-driving concept on the side till say 2030 or so, and also the delivery concept is at its infancy still, because when Safeway and Walgreens, well, not Walgreens, but Walmart started it. Of course, Safeway started it way before Walmart did, essentially. Walgreens had a competition when it came to bring in the bringing it to your door aspect, but of course they pulled away from that aspect before they even put it into implementation. But yet Longs did the walk up to you, bring it, deliver it to your door by 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 veritable local locations. Of course, for some reason they pulled away from that. The one thing was is that and very many people started becoming very, shall we say, skittish about the delivery system, and people are due to the fact of certain other people are watching, pardon me, or they are watching and seeing if there's packages being left on the front door stoops due to Amazon, UPS, FedEx at different locations and different areas of uh, residential housing. And yet many news sources have caught this due to the technology of cameras being installed in onto the housing structure of whoever lives it there at that point in time. And yet a number of them probably haven't been caught quite yet. But the one thing is that there has to be a time and there has to be a point to where like the where the person has someone that they can trust to be there when the delivery comes. Because if they say, well, okay, well, the delivery is supposed to be on this date, on this day, and this time, so I need someone to be here while I'm at work or while I'm at wherever, like a doctor's appointment or whatever. That way, there's nobody that would be able to drive around and try to sneak and grab your Christmas gift boxed up items from Amazon or wherever, and also um, it's getting to the points to where people have to gate their houses, and to the points to where they have have like security systems to where even in the daytime especially, that if the alarm is tripped in any way, that people and the cops would automatically be there, or and it's also getting to the point to where that same gate would need to be electrified. So the delivery system is still it's in infancy, but also what's also making it's still in its infancy, starting with Safeway and Walmart and many others outside of Whole Foods so far. Is that the the whole concept was thought in the beginning that that if we get a delivery from Safeway or Walmart, that you'll get the same size and the same portion items that you would if you went into the damn stores, the stores themselves, right, on your own. That's not the case. I can tell you, I myself have tested this out many years ago. I had a delivery from Safeway, and instead of getting the same size portion items that I would normally get from going inside the store itself, it went to the points to where everything came in out of the warehouse, but in a smaller portion and not exactly of what I wanted and what I would normally get from Safeway. They need to fix that. Walmart needs to fix that because the same thing has been said about Walmart and their delivery system. So generally, that's another one right there. So if if the grocers do plan to outdo Amazon and and at the same time try to outdo each other, but still stay competitive, you you need to really think things through before you put things in action because right now the delivery system that Target bought took out their whole entire budget, even for their stores, over $5,000, almost if not more than that, to use a delivery service for their stores and from their stores. Not a smart move there, Target, because you can easily be outdone by your heavier competitor and your main competitor being Walmart. And from the quality of Target can rapidly decrease if they keep doing that. But at the same time, though, too, is that if they keep on making fast move, fast and not really well thought out moves like Target did when they went into the Canadian market. Walmart was already in the Canadian market by this point. Target decided to at some point without even thinking it through and really researching and analyzing it as much as they think they have when they really haven't. Because if they really have, then they wouldn't have closed so many of the stores that they had put in to the Canadian market now, would they? Target needs to realize these things. You need to really pay attention instead of assuming that you know shit just because you've been through various concepts and planned out strategies, what have you. But the one thing is that it may look good on paper, but you got to really test it out by at least two stores at a time, if not one store at a time, like it was when each company starts. They start with one, then they go to another, then they go to another. If the more it succeeds, but in a gradual sense. But they also make sure that they're able to afford not only for the land value and also all this other stuff, but they also need to make sure that they're able to pay their employees, employers, and pay their distributors and many other aspects to it besides the upkeep and the upkeep of the current structures that they have their stores in. But of course, Circuit City was the only one that did not go that way, did they? Because the one after the founder's son stepped down, he kept on opening store after store after store after store. Not the founder's son, but the one that succeeded him. Kept on opening store and yet didn't really pay attention to the upkeep of the other stores and kept on thinking that everything would be hunky dory. Uh-uh. That's not the way to do business in any industry. So generally, that's one reason why uh, the the decline and demise of Circuit City is because they used a strategy that was not really in their purview, if you will, in the sense of keeping successful. Because no matter what type of business you have, you need to make sure that you're able to handle and afford a lot more than putting new stores in different locations. But also you need to keep a really close eye on the upkeep of the current buildings, the current stores, and also still make sure you're able to afford not only paying your corporate employees and execs and whatnot, but also the employees and employers of each store, and also the leasing and property cost of where each store is set at in different locations. And also you need to also pay attention to, again, the the payment of your distributors, and also the electricity, along with the upkeep and whatnot, and the maintenance of your locations. So generally, basically, I'd say that Kroger would need to take everything I said, and every other retailer would have to take everything I said to more than consideration. Because if they don't, then Amazon will be 100% ahead in the dominated aspect of the grocery industry, aside, aside from the fact that they haven't opened their own under their own labeling quite yet. And like I said, Amazon would have to decrease the hold of within by contractual obligation to where they lessen their hold on Whole Foods in order to do it, in order to do their own online grocer. And also they would need to take take what I have said earlier in this video to make sure that the size and portion of the products that each person would get, better not they could not be smaller portions. They would have to be the same size that every person would get it as if they went into the stores themselves. And with the Walgreens aspect, then Walgreens can also pull away from the NYSE, as well as Rite Aid and CVS. But CVS thinks they're too big. They don't have to do that. They obviously think that it's okay to have shareholders and stockholders to tell them exactly how to operate because it's been succeeding for them so far. But eventually, that success will go downhill. And I'd say if once Longs, and I'm praying that Longs comes back to California where it all started, and they can also do the same thing by pulling out of the NYSE where Tom and Joe put them in the 1970s, and gradually grow back into the United States, and eventually when they get to the extent that they were even beyond from where they were in the 500 numeral aspect, then they'd be able to go and connect back to NYSE eventually. But unbeknownst to Albertsons, Albertsons needs to take responsibility for their own stores and pull away from Safeway and disattach their hold to Safeway, or once Amazon goes into their own grocer aspect, online grocer aspect, then Albertsons could be one of the first next to Kroger to be the ones to hit the gravestone of the industry. And Kroger needs to realize that they need to, like I said earlier, decrease the amount of convenience stores, disattach themselves from Fred Meyer because they could be like an anchor, pulling them, holding them back from really having a strong competition against the others, along with even against Amazon. And also, Kroger would have to also take heed of pulling away from the NYSE, like the In-N-Out Burger, and so would many other retailers that we've mentioned and that we have not mentioned on this video. And this is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, and we thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, please let us know on our Facebook page of C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, and or on the bottom of the comment section of this video. And we hope you have a good day, and we we support our troops and our veterans, and we thank you for your service. And as many of you know already, that we support Trump, and we want we do believe that Trump can do as well as he's done, even better in 2020. So Trump for 2020. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.